Hello, and welcome to the virtual Sundance ASCAP Music Café, where we're excited to bring you special editions of our ASCAP Screen Time conversations. I'm Amanda Schaffner from our ASCAP Screen team, and today I'm joined by composers Este Haim and Christopher Stracey, who have an amazing film here at Sundance 2022 called Cha-Cha Real Smooth. Welcome, Este and Christopher.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
So cool to be here.
I'm so happy that the two of you are here. I've recently found out that this is your first feature film that you guys have scored. I'd love to actually hear, where did you guys meet? How did the two of you come together as collaborators?
We met through our mutual best friend, hero, Tobias Jesso Jr., who's such a connector. He's just I had come to him because I had been asked to score a Netflix show called Made. And I'd come to Tobias and was kind of with my head in my hands, I really need someone to collaborate with. I don't know if I can do this on my own. I'm so used to collaborating because of, my band with my sisters. That's my happy place, is collaborating. And Tobias was like, well, why don't you come hang out with my friend Stray? I think you guys will get along really well. And he does everything, and he's so talented, and this a laundry list of just these incredible attributes that, Stray is just kind of an aficionado when it comes to everything, honestly. And I was so excited. And it was I came over to his studio, the one that he's sitting in now. And it was so instantaneous. And I think that it was Tobias was there, but then was I'm just gonna leave you guys to it.
Obviously, this is working.
The dad at the play date who brings the kids to the play date and then was oh, they're cool, they like each other. I'm just gonna
leave them in the sandpit.
Yeah, I'm leaving them in the sandbox. They're doing great.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then it was just kind of we were off to the races, and we just liked hanging out and talking about music, and talking about instrumentation and our backgrounds. And both of us have such an eclectic background when it comes to music education and things that we're obsessed with, and music that we're obsessed with, and music that Stray is obsessed with. I don't have as much literacy as he does, and I think vice versa. But I think we both are just such music geeks that it just became kind of like a Spotify sparring session. Oh, you like this? Have you heard this? Do you know about this?
You're just constantly trying to one up each other. Yeah. I'm going to introduce you to my new favorite thing.
Right. What was it? I don't even know if it was one upping as much as it was just I know you would love this.
Yeah.
This is so up your alley. You don't know about this?
Yeah.
You love this.
That's amazing.
But yeah, and then every day we were, working on Made was just every day I would wake up and spring out of bed, so excited to just get into the studio and throw the spaghetti against the wall, and really, it was just fun. It was just such a good time.
I feel that's so important, especially when you're dealing with a series like Made, which it was not necessarily fun to watch all the time. It's kind of heavy material at times. So it's nice that the two of you had this kind of safe, happy place to collaborate in.
Yes, it was a lot of fun to do that. But yes, there were days when we were oh my God, this is so heavy and triggering, honestly.
Sure, of course.
But I was still just so excited to get into the studio, and especially at a time like this where it's a weird time to be making music. It's a weird time to be a musician, and to have that outlet every day was such a blessing. Honestly, it was such a blessing. And the same with Cha-Cha.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you guys know right away that you wanted to kind of pitch yourselves as co-collaborators on Cha-Cha, or was that, again, kind of this happy accident?
That was that was actually a very happy accident. We were working on Made, and we were in my kitchen having a break. And my wife, who has a production company, was talking to a friend of hers who was Ro, who was producing on Cha-Cha. and they were just talking about, you know, their projects, and Ro was like, oh, we need some, you know, music. We don't really know what we're doing yet for music. And Esty and I literally walked into the room and Gigi was like, these guys. And so, yeah, it was literally a happy accident like that. It kind of, you know, after that, we had a few chats, and we met with Cooper and had a chat with him. And then once we figured that we were all kind of on the same page, like musically and taste wise, it was, we gave a few ideas and we're off to the races again.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So how early were you guys brought on? Like, did you get to see a script? Was there, you know, footage for you to see? Like, what kind of like drew you in, other than kind of, obviously it's like, oh, you need music, I make music, this is going to work out.
We got a script first. Yeah.
We got a script first, but also like just the title, like I am a child of, you know, my 7th grade year was the best year of my life, because it was bar and bat mitzvah season.
Right.
So to do a movie, to be a part of a movie about, you know, about bar mitzvahs was like, I was like, I'm in. Like that sounds like so much fun, especially when you think of like, even just like what the needle drop was going to be. I was like, this just sounds like such a fun movie to be a part of. And like Stray and I had seen Shithouse, Cooper's the movie that he had done before, Cha Cha. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. Like, don't threaten me with a good time. This sounds awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And how did you guys come together to talk about like what instrumentation you're going to use? Like, what was that creative process like? Did you know right away, like, oh, this is what we want to do? Or did you kind of have that, again, to use your terms, like, did you need to throw spaghetti at the wall?
I think we always throw spaghetti at the wall. I think that's kind of, it's almost like the studio is a magical place where there's endless possibilities, and it can be a blessing and a curse, right? Like especially because Stray plays everything. I play a lot of things. Stray plays more things than I do, but we both play so many different instruments, and we're both so like literate on those instruments that it's almost harder to come to a conclusion on like what's the best way to go when there's endless possibilities.
Paralysis of choice.
Yeah. So like, you know, and again, like we're both very like, I think both Stray and I, like our minds, I think work at like 1,000,000 miles an hour. Like we're constantly kind of shooting ideas out. And like, so I think it took kind of like getting Spotify playlists and talking to Cooper about things that he was listening to when he was writing the movie and things he was listening to when he was making the movie. And kind of getting into the head of the lead character and also, you know, all the lead characters, trying to get kind of what the emotional DNA was, and then trying to translate that into music, which took a little bit of time. But I think once we got it and we narrowed down what we wanted everything to kind of sound like sonically, again, it was just kind of like, what are the motives, like not the motives, the motifs that were like, that we love, that we think really work with these scenes. But that was Stray, that was trial and error. That wasn't, you know, it wasn't like,
but in a form of like guided spaghetti, you know, like guided spaghetti because we did have that thing of like knowing that, you know, the sort of sonic aesthetic of the Spotify playlists, and also the time of the movie, you know, being, I don't know, around like sort of 2012-ish zone, was like, for us, knowing what was going on like musically and culturally in that space and the stuff that we were listening to, it's all the same stuff, you know. And it was really that kind of thing of like, oh, like this is, you know, going back into my 20s, like I just remember that time of like newly found freedom of like no more school, like no more college, like I'm going out, I'm going to concerts, I'm like, all these exciting bands are happening. And it was that kind of fuel and that sort of music. And so when like Cooper was mentioning those kinds of feelings, I think we just channeled our inner early 20s and just like went right back there, you know, and that was a really fun thing to do, because I think that was a really great time for, especially for, you know, kind of alternative pop music that was going on around the time. It was really exciting to me, was what got me into a music career, really.
I never want to lose that feeling.
Yeah.
Right. That's really interesting. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you guys about too is that, so we talked about this earlier, but you guys, this is the first feature film that you guys are working on. And I have to imagine that in this particular project, you're coming up against both scoring these kind of comedic moments, but also these very dramatic moments. Have there ever been any challenges for you in trying to step into each of those kind of emotional spaces with your scoring?
I think we're pretty good at navigating the feeling of it all. The one thing that I would say is definitely the biggest thing for us to be aware of is because both of us have artist projects, and we're used to like writing songs that have to be like hooky and like grab you like straight away. The big thing is like knowing how to be there, have a musical presence that's not like so attention grabbing that, you know, you're distracting or you're telling the audience to like, you know, the idea of like being supporting rather than attention grabbing, and like knowing how to ride that line and when to push forward and when to hold back. I think that's probably been the biggest learning curve, which is like been really cool. And I think also is a cool thing that can inform the other work that we do, you know, like each can inform the other. Which I think is great and has been really exciting, especially diving into score as a new avenue for music making.
Yeah, and could you talk about that like a little bit more? Like, how has your scoring informed your artist projects, or how do you find the time even to balance the two worlds? Do you kind of know going into the year, like, okay, I'm definitely going to carve out time to create a new album, or I'm definitely going to carve out time to do X, Y, and Z projects? Or do you like to kind of see it flow a little bit more organically than that?
I think this year has been, or the last 2 years, there's been a lot of like plans that have been kind of pushed to the wayside. So I think for both Stracey and I, it was like, again, it was like it was an outlet that we're so thankful for, because I think my band had plans on touring and then those got canceled, and, you know, and then producers would be like, okay, well, you know, I thought you were going on tour, so now I'm doing this other project and I don't have time for you. So it's a lot of, it's like a Tetris game, right? And so trying to figure that out, I think it all worked out. You know, Stracey and I did Made for most of last year, and then at the end of the year we got Cha-Cha and did that. I think moving forward, I think there's going to be a little more of a dance, because hopefully the world is opening up a little more, and, you know, I'm going on tour, God willing, in April. God willing, I'm going on tour in April.
Yeah.
So I think that for us, again, it was like such a blessing to be able to have this and to have a reason to go into the studio every day and be creative every day. And yeah, it was really fun. I think that like, I can't imagine there's a world where like what we've done together won't permeate into other projects that we do, including our own. So
did you always know that you wanted to be in composing? Like, was film composing or even composing for television, was that always kind of like in the back of your mind? Or when did you kind of come to that journey?
I mean, I love film scores and love TV scores. Did I ever think that it was something that I would have the opportunity to do? Honestly, I was like, I mean, if it came my way, I would 100% do it. But again, I never really had the time to focus on it because I was touring or I was making music with my sisters. But again, happy, you know, happy accident, yes.
Yeah.
You know, right. I get to do this, and that, you know, that the producers that we've worked with essentially took a chance on, you know, two people that had never scored anything before that were coming together for the first time. And it turned out that we really loved what we did on Made, and same with Cha-Cha. And now Stracey can't get rid of me. So Stracey's never going to get rid of me now. We're doing it forever. We're doing it
forever. Well, that's amazing. One of the things that I think that we've heard from, I guess, other composers is that every time you're coming to the table with a new director, it feels like a brand new experience of trying to learn this shared language. Yes. Is that something that the two of you experienced on this project? Like, how different was it from working on television, or even just in terms of dealing with a different producing team and a different director? Was it hard to kind of find that new shared vocabulary?
We fell into it pretty quick with Cooper, hey?
Yeah,
I think,
we did.
Yeah, I think we're sort of the same. We sort of feel like the same people, you know, like we're kind of, all the, I don't know. Yeah, it was really easy and natural. And I think the fact that he was going for this feeling that like we were so, like that was the, you know, like it was our youth. Like it kind of was very natural, I think.
Yeah,
sometimes for sure that communication thing can be weird, like make this more maple syrupy, or what does that mean, you know?
Yeah.
But I think like
in musical terms, like it's a lot of like translating, like having to take what a producer, a director, or a writer is saying and funneling that through through a musical lens. Like, what does that? And then again, it's like a lot of trial and error. So like, we think what you're saying is this, and I'm like, no, like maybe, you know, it's a lot of back and forth for sure. But it is like learning a new language, I think, for, you know, for both, probably for them and for us. You know,
it just sounds like you guys kind of found this magical unicorn of a project that you stepped into so easily, and the two of you stepped into collaboration so easily. And I think there's something to that. Like there's a power there. And one, I'm super excited for this film and for everyone to see it. And two, I cannot thank you guys enough for taking time to spend time with us on Screen Time. I'm very, very excited that you guys have this feature film, this first project that you guys are working on together in this kind of medium, be featured at Sundance 2022. I mean, that's just like it's a mind-blowing moment. So congratulations. I hope you guys both accept that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, thank you so much for having us. This is like truly the coolest thing.
Yeah, it has been amazing.
So cool. So cool.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank everyone who's been watching. I really encourage you to check out our virtual Sundance ASCAP Music Café. We have some incredible performances from our ASCAP artists, and you can certainly explore even more episodes of our ASCAP Screen Time. Thanks for joining us.